and then unfortunately some Muslims caught onto it and heard the rumors and then believed it and started spreading it as well. Now this was a major event. Can you imagine? Against the wife, our mother, the wife of Rasulullah. Now the person, he could easily defend himself, but people would say, obviously you're defending your wife. So he didn't want people to make the accusation. So I'm going to wait for revelation. He waited, but it went on for a month. So Aisha was already quite ill. She went to her parents' house. Again, cut a long story short. After a month, the rumors were spreading left, right, centre. And it got worse and worse. And as the saying, the Prophet was quiet. I mean, many Sahaba went to the Prophet and said, look, they gave their defense. Or said, Aisha, Allah Ta'ala doesn't let a fly sit on you. How will He give you a wife that's impure? You have the purest of pure women. And there was, but within this time, this month period, those categories of people who speak about things became apparent. So, I'll give you the categories of people. One of the people is the ones who don't talk about it at all. Yeah? So they literally don't want to hear about it. So you try and say something to them, they walk away. They don't want to hear it. They're one category of people. They're safest category. There's another group of people who would hear it, might talk about it, but would defend it secretly and not spread it further. An example was Hazrat Ayyub Ansari. His wife told him about, have you heard about it? And he said to her, would you ever do something like that? She said, no. He said, well, she would never do it because she's better than you. So this is obviously a thing that Ayyub Ansari defending it and they didn't spread it any further, which is, again, that's how we should be. Then there's people who talk about it and spread it, and they're the worst type of people. And then, the worst after them, the most of it is the one who started it in the first place. Naturally, so there's a few who started it, so they're going to have, and Allah Ta'ala says in the ayat that those people who involved in it will have their share of the sin according to their actions. So the one who started it will have the most. And Allah Ta'ala said that about him. He'll have the most. And everyone else that has a share will get a share of that sin. So that was a major part. The ayats came down, 10 ayats came down, to vindicate it, and the part of Sayyidah Aisha. During the imaging amazing story about Abu Bakr, one of his relatives, Mr. He's a relative of Abu Bakr, and he's not only a relative of Abu Bakr, but actually helping him financially, supporting his family, and used to give him money financially, regularly. He was spreading and actually involved in spreading this film. And so you can imagine how much it hurt Abu Bakr. Not only his relative, he's helping him. But Abu didn't stop paying him, he still helped him. When the ayats came down, like I said, a month later, when the ayats came down, saying Abu took an oath, I'm not going to give him any money anymore. Yeah, he spread filth about when the ayats come down, and then ayat number 22, this is ayat number 11 to 21 came down, in defense of the Aisha. Ayat number 22 came down after that. And ayat number 22, explain, and I'll do again briefly, ayat 22 mentioned that forgive Allah Ta'ala, basically Allah Ta'ala telling Sayyidina Abu Bakr and telling everyone, but Sayyidina Abu Bakr in particular, that those who have wealth, Allah Ta'ala has graced you with wealth, don't stop from giving your kinsmen, your family, and the masakin, the poor, and those who leave their home in the cause of Allah. And Allah is just forgive, pardon them, and move on. Do you want Allah Ta'ala to forgive you? And then he said, Mishnah, and the Sayyidina Abu Bakr said, of course I want Allah Ta'ala to forgive me. And not only did he start paying him, he gave him in a more liberal fashion, gave him more money than before. This is the ultimate of Sayyidina Abu Bakr. Can you imagine? Giving it to someone who was insulting and literally involved in this. But that's, mashallah, a different level. Maybe different, I'm going to try and wrap up. A different level of taqwa that Sayyidina Abu Bakr had. But remember, Allah Ta'ala mentioned this, and he said, this is the worst kind, the people who are going to participate in it will all have a share in it. So spreading lies about anyone being involved in it is the worst kind. Fostan is worse than riba. And like I said, riba is true, something true you say, but they will not like it. And namima, spreading gossip between people, literally saying, he said, she said. All of these things are something that we should not get involved in. It happens, it's so prevalent in the world today and amongst all of us, which is why I'm saying, if we're all going to be going hellfire, it's going to be this reason. Because many of us, we know the sins of alcohol, of fornication, adultery. These are major sins. And alhamdulillah, most people know fear and stay away from it. But we've got people, like I said, in the masjid. We've got people with long beards. They have a short beard, a long beard, but they'll be doing riba. They'll be talking about someone behind the back. They'll be twisting things. And all of us have to remember that we're going to be accountable for this on the day of judgment. And this time, so quickly on some steps and solutions, cures to try and do better, inshallah. So one is knowledge, obviously. So the 8 types that I mentioned, we need to remember them, knowing them. So not just lying, swearing, but also about arguing, about showing off, saying you're better than the others, being arrogant, even joking, hurting the feelings of others. All those things, we need to know those and remind ourselves when we're in that situation. So knowledge of the eight types and try and control ourselves was one thing. Number two, beautiful thing, silence. The Prophet ﷺ said, speak a good word or remain silent. And we have a silence is golden. We have that in many traditions. Staying silent, and if it wasn't good to say, don't say anything. Then you're not accountable. You know, say Imam Abu Hanifa, he said, because he's a massive scholar teaching people about Islam, he said, if it wasn't for my duty to impart knowledge that I know, I would not talk to anyone about anything. He would just keep quiet, because he goes, everything you say you're accountable for. You know, and it's clear, there's an amazing story about saying that the Imam Shafi, as well. Imam Shafi went to a place and people saw great Imams come in, absolute Muslim, come in, they were asked questions to him. And he, when he's asking questions, 40 questions they asked him. He said, La adri to 37, La adri, I don't know, to 37 of them. You know nowadays, if you ask someone a question, I'm going to say some answer, because I don't look stupid. I'm going to know something. Everyone wants to say something, brother call me Sheikh, and I'm not with Sheikh, but there's a problem. So in one way, we want to just go above our level. And this is a problem. This is a rule. If you try and raise yourself above your level, Allah Ta'ala will debase you. He will humiliate you here. If you keep your level, you won't go you won't improve. But if you lower yourself, humble yourself, Allah Ta'ala will raise you up. Sayyidina Abu Siddiq, for example, to quick one again, when he became the Khalifa, his first words were, he's a man for the people. His words were, I'm not the best amongst you. Straight away, and everyone knows he's good, but he genuinely believes, because he knows everyone knows their own faults. He doesn't know others, he doesn't have a bad opinion about anyone else. So he's going to think they're all better than me. That's humbleness, humility. He's the best among people, but he said, I'm not the best amongst you. Allah Ta'ala raised him higher. But Shaitan said, I'm better than Adam. I'm made from fire. He's made from clay. And he's become regime. He's the curse. So remember that all the time. We've got to try and humble ourselves down. Allah Ta'ala will raise us higher. If you try and raise yourself up, Allah Ta'ala will debase you. So silence is a key one. One of the things about silence also, some of the Sahaba, they used to have stone, a pebble under their tongue, just to remind themselves to speak only to consider before speaking. Don't just rush to speak. And there's another one I heard say, they do dhikr so much, they always do dhikr. When they went to answer the call of nature, go to the toilet, they didn't want to do dhikr, so they put stones on their tongue to remind themselves, not here, in the toilet. And so their tongues were moist with the dhikr of Allah. But at the same time, in terms of backbiting, they would remind themselves often. And we have to be careful. The tongue is something that, like I said, we have to remind ourselves that this is something that can take us and affect our heart. But they would also constantly remind themselves the best time to speak. And considering what you say before you say is also from the Sunnah. The person said, "At-ta'ani min Allah, wal-'ajlatu min ash-shaytan." Consideration is from Allah, and haste is from the devil. So don't rush before you say anything. Number 3, fasting. Fasting also, because fasting by its nature teaches us restraint. So if you teach you restraint, you go without food and water, which is essential for our body. Then going out without backbiting and ridiculing, that's not essential for us. That's just banter. That's something extra. We don't need that. If we can go without necessity, we can go out without these extra things. Inshallah. So fasting also. And then your company you keep. Change your surroundings. If you keep company that always do this, then you're in the wrong company. Either you try and correct them, or you leave them. Because in one way, either if you don't correct them, you're going to be consumed by them and you're going to be doing exactly what they're doing. There's a few people that can really stay in bad company and remain good themselves. They're going to have the company they keep. Unfortunately, sometimes you've got cousins and brothers and family members that are doing the same thing. But then there has to be some strong, brave ones amongst them that takes the lead. And the one who takes the lead will get the most reward. And then, naturally, dhikr Allah. Remembering Allah. Cloaking our tongue, like I said, keeping it, as I mentioned with the Sahaba, keeping that moist. I think my own fault, when I was younger, college, even before college days, swearing was commonplace. With friends, we used to swear almost every other line. It wasn't thought of in any bad way. So that's why I'm saying with youngsters, they've got to be consciously aware of it. But then as you get more mature, you start praying, you start doing things more regular, you realize, I shouldn't be doing this. Then it gets to the point where it feels awkward to swear. And when somebody else swears, you think it automatically feels bad. You detest it in your heart. But unless you condition yourself to do that, if you're in an environment, and an example someone gave, if you go to a house that stinks, imagine you go to a house that's never been opened, watching bodies, whatever, there's got feces in there. it would stink. As soon as you open the door, you won't be able, you might almost pass out. That's how bad the smell is. But when you go inside, you stay there for 10 minutes, you won't smell it anymore. 20 minutes. You stay there for a day, you think the smell's gone. No, you just got used to it. You got acclimatized to it. The filth around you has become part. You're used to it. Only when you come out, smell fresh air, come outside, then go back in, you realize the smell's still there. And this is like staying with company. If you're with nasty company, you're going to be part of that. You're going to get used to it. You're not going to see it as bad anymore. You need to come away, go with good company. This is why the sohbah, the closeness of the awliya and the ulama is a major part of our life. It should be, especially with youngsters. It should be that connection with good people in the masajid, hearing things about the Prophet and about how the best way should be, how you should live. And then when you go back to your friends, you will see where things are wrong. It'll be easier. And then hopefully, inshallah, also brave enough to speak out against it. There's a lot more to say, but I don't want to run out of time. So inshallah, I'll end this with the ma'alina illa al mubin. We're going to be question answered. At the back here? Alhamdulillah. شوفوا شيء لا في الرواية. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سيدنا محمد وعلى سيدنا محمد وعلى سيدنا ربي اغفر وارحم وانت خير الراحمين. لا اله الا انت سبحانك اني كنت من الظالمين. ربي ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا. ربي ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا. لي خمسة نصيبي أحررها الحاكم مع المصطفى والمرتضى وبناهما وفاطمة وصلى على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين والحمد لله يا أرحم الراحمين. We'll go, inshallah, some refreshments at the back. Any questions, we can carry on discussion there. And likewise, the sisters, I think the sisters now will come down to the back, and any questions they can pass it to us, inshallah.